Staying in Bangladesh just a moment longer, as we know hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees are sheltering there after fleeing what the UN described as an ethnic cleansing campaign in Myanmar. Now, Human Rights Watch has looked at the camps they're in and wants all of them to be moved to safer ground where there is a lower risk of landslides and flooding. About 700,000 Rohingya Muslims are in temporary shelters near Cox's Bazar, which makes up one of the world's biggest refugee camps. Bangladesh's government has a relocation plan, though, for 100,000 of them to a place called Basan Char. Here it is, an uninhabited island, only formed in the past 20 years from silt in the Meghna River. The Bangladeshi Navy and Chinese construction crews are there fortifying the island with an embankment, trying to protect it from the high tides and waves. But Human Rights Watch believes the island could be submerged in big weather events. You know, if a cyclone comes through like that. They're also worried it would essentially become a giant prison island. Instead, it wants the government to move Rohingya to these areas near the current camps and register them as the refugees. They say they're less vulnerable to landslides and flooding there, and they would have better access to shelter and education. Well, Bill Frelick's director of the Refugee Rights Division at Human Rights Watch.
Here and now, I mean, there is a real risk of people dying in landslides. There's a real risk of a cyclone event and simply the monsoon rains themselves on the topography that we're talking about, these steep inclines, people that I've spoken to living in huts that their neighbors have already washed away, and they're sitting there right on the precipice. People do need to be evacuated. They need to be brought, even within the mega camp itself, to safer locations. And they're working on it. There's actually, valiant efforts to try to shore up the conditions in the camp. But the Bangladesh authorities have insisted that the camp is temporary and that the solution is repatriation to Myanmar. While we agree in principle, and the refugees themselves also on the right of return, the immediate concern is preventing people from suffering and preventing loss of life here and now. Let's worry about repatriation as time goes on, putting pressure on Myanmar to fundamentally reform, to allow refugees to go home. But in the meantime, even though it may have the look of permanency to build proper schools and have proper education, the children shouldn't be left with no education, and essentially that's what's happening now. And the flimsy dwellings that they're living in that can be washed away by high winds and storms need to be shored up as well. They need hard sheltered areas that can protect them in cyclones as well.